So because we're working biggest to smallest in terms of details here, our next item is going to be these images. And we want to be sure that they're the same size. So we'll bring in this first one. So File Place or Command D, and Pink Bouquet is what we want to bring in. Now I'm going to size this. I'm not holding Shift, I'm just sizing it roughly what I think it should be. I'll be able to change it later. And you can see that I'm moving it. I'm holding my mouse down. Right here I'm just sizing it, but when I'm with my mouse down, when I hold my space bar, I can also move this. Such a handy thing in all of the Adobe programs. Whenever you're clicking and dragging to select something or draw something, if you hold space down, you can move it, and then you let off space and you can keep drawing. I really like that little option. Okay, so it looks like this is probably close, but we'll revise as we need to. And the image looks a little more square, so I'm probably not going to be dead on exact with it, but that's okay. I'm going to click in here, scale this image up a bit. In fact, yeah, just a little bit. Holding Shift down. And I'll move it in. Not identical, but close. Okay. We'll get this other image in, but what I was saying about the same image size, I'm going to actually make a copy of this. I'm going to hold my Option key down, click and drag, and then add Shift into that. So that's that cloning that we've done before. I'll do that again. So I have it selected, Option, Shift, click and drag. You get used to that, but what you're mainly watching for is that double cursor. That means it's working. And then when you let off, let go of the mouse first, and then the keys. Okay, so that one's a little longer, so I'm just going to stretch it out here. And then I can, with that frame selected, I can place in the next image and it will overwrite the one that's already in there. So the frame selected, Command D or File Place, and then we'll get the image of the children working. The undo key is the best thing you have in these programs. I use it all the time, obviously. Okay, so it looks like I'm going to close this up to match the image size, and then I'm going to size both of these. I'm just trying to get it as close to exactly the same as I can. So I'll click on that one, hold Shift, select that one. That's called Shift Selecting. And then I'm going to, with my Command Shift, click and drag, I'm going to scale this up. So remember, that's Command Shift, click and drag. I'll go to about there. Looks a little far over, so I'm just going to use my arrow keys and nudge that over. Again, it doesn't have to be absolutely 100% exact, but you want to get the main idea. Okay, not bad. Looks pretty good. Few adjustments maybe for exact, but we're not going to worry about that. Okay, so now we just need content. And we have a content block here, we have this here, and we have this here. So a lot of this we've already done in terms of having a rule. And we've done this, we just need to change what it says. We did that in the outside. So I'm actually going to go up here and I'm going to copy this, Command C, because I don't want to do it again manually. Command V. And actually I'm going to show you a little trick. Because I copied it from this panel, that's fine, I'll copy again just to be sure. This time I'm going to do paste in place. And what it's going to do is it's going to put on this page, it's going to put it exactly where it was on the other page. So I'll go edit, and it's paste in place. So That's Option Shift Command V. I'd just go to the menu here. And then it goes there. All we have to do is hold Shift, select it, and we can move it over. And the reason I'm holding Shift is to keep it in line. And then we can put it here. So what that does is just give us a good reference for placement. That's it. But either way, we just really needed this part. And we needed this content. So now what I'm going to do is I'll delete some of this here just so I have the reference there. And by reference, I mean the typeface that it's set in. And I'm going to close this type frame up a bit, work tidily. So it says our products. Whenever I do that, I tend to miss that space at the end. So you'll see that when I did that, I caught this space. I'm going to try to avoid that this time so that I don't bring the other part up. And services. Because what it did was add that second rule. And now we know the rule is the same length. Okay, now we have this content in a Word document. Now you can open up the Word document and you can copy and paste it in, or you can highlight your content and just do Command D and we'll place. So we'll see what happens when we place it in. We might have to delete some content, but that's okay. And in fact, I even know a better idea here because we have content in there that we don't want in this particular text frame, and that would be this stuff. So it is in here, but I'm going to undo what I did there, and I'm going to place this out here. So I'm still placing. I did Command D, but now it's all out there, and I can kind of break it down as I need to. Okay, so I'm going to copy that and paste it there. Now you're going to see it looks much bolder. That's probably because it didn't come in at 90% like we had set the other portion last week. There we go, a little lighter. Let's see, we did that here, I believe. Yeah. So 90%, you can see how 90% black just pulls some of that harshness out of the black that we were getting. And now, when you look at this, you'll notice a couple things. Like, for example, the word W, or we, with the W-E there, that's by itself on a single line. It's not a horrible problem, but sometimes if we adjust the frame, we can get a little cleaner line break aspect along the edges there. It's not a big deal, but when you have that lone little two-letter word on one side, on the end of a line or something, usually you want to just try and fix that up. It's usually pretty easy to do so. And then we have we specialize in. Okay, so we're going to delete this out. And this line that's along the bottom here, don't know that that is actually in this content. It's not, so we'll see where that is. See what it says as well. It's a fictitious company, okay. So we may not even have to put that content there. Okay, so I'm going to size this, and this content, it's a little smaller than this, we can see that. So we need to get this set up. So first is the size. So I'm going to make the size maybe 10. And it's up a little higher, so we can take this up higher, because we're going to need the room. And you can see the leading is open quite a bit. So what this means is that you're going to have to do a little bit of massaging of the content to get it to fit, get correct sizes, correct typefaces. So what do we have here? This is all of this is done in sans serif. This is nice in a sans serif. You can choose one if you want. I'm just going to get this to at least fit. Now we have some rogue spaces and returns down here that I'll get rid of. And I'm just going to close up the leading. So remember, leading is the line spacing. I'm going to hold my Option key down and do my up arrow. Okay, and then I can start setting this up. So again, you're just working with what you have already to help. So we already saved this color. We know it's that. We know that this typeface is probably just Arial, so we'll do this in Arial. Now we can use the eyedropper. It'll be larger, but we can make it smaller. So I'm doing Command Shift and my less than arrow, or you can just do your type up here, of course. And I'll make it all caps. So you can go to your type menu and go to change case and uppercase. You don't have to retype it all. You can actually just choose uppercase. And it's even tracked out a bit, so I'll do Option and my right arrow. Oops. And this this rule on here, it actually spans across the text frame. So I'm going to highlight this and open up my paragraph panel and go to the rules, paragraph rules, and I'll just decrease. So this is not a rule above, it's a rule below. So I'll decrease the indent on it, and we'll see that it'll extend out. Remember, ideally, when you're working with rules, you're doing them in text. That's what this is called. This is called an in-text rule. You don't want to just put a line there, because if you put a line there, then when your text flow changes or you move the text frame, you're going to have to keep that line moving around, and it becomes a real pain. But when you can work it into the text, then it's all stable. It's all just staying right with it. And it maintains consistency to the other components you've done. All right, and this, we'll do bold. So that's Georgia bold. And I can do the same up there. I can grab my eyedropper and do that. And then I'll hold down my Command key. And see how when you hold Command, you can let go of a tool, but I'm going to keep my text tool selected, and I'm just going to keep going to bold, because that's the way that eliminates the clicks, and that's what you want to do. If you find a way to eliminate clicking and keyboarding, then that's the way to do it. So you'll find sometimes the hotkeys are the fast way, sometimes the menu's the fast way. Now we'll make this 90 again. On the tint. And it still may be a little big, but doesn't look too bad. I am going to go down with it though to about 9 point, just to make a little more room there. I can pull that in. Okay, now we've got these items here that you'll place in. I'm just going to place one in. I'll let you guys do all of them. So File and Place. And those are all these little graphic elements. So which one do we need? There, I didn't actually see. I'm going to cancel that, make sure I get the correct one. Okay, so either way, we got to bring them all in. So and you can select multiples by holding your command key down. I'm not sure if this is, so these may be more than we need, but I'm going to hold my shift key down and select all of them because I went right up above. So I'm going to explain that. When I select one, if I wanted a random group, I'm holding command. Or I can hold shift and it will take everything in between where I'm clicking. Okay, so I'm holding command because I think these are the ones that I want to get. We'll see what it does. It's going to place all of these. So I grabbed a couple things I don't need. And I think everything I wanted was in there. So let's just keep it easy on ourselves. Command D, and we'll get one at a time. And then the thing is, all of these are sized roughly the same. You don't want to just be sizing one and then bringing another in and sizing the other. So I'm going to do file place. I'm going to place all of them in. Of course, it's going to go into that same frame. So a little bit of a pain when you get a bunch of little things like this. So it's all right. I'm just going to size it down. It's nice to do things all as one to eliminate, when you get something like this, to eliminate a bunch of repeats of what you're doing. You do all in one and you size them all together, but sometimes it just doesn't work out. So I'll just size it this way. And Command D. And again, I was in the box. Got to make sure I deselect the box. That one, not even sure we need it. Don't know why it's here. We don't need it, so we can eliminate that. Not exactly paying attention to the ones that I have been choosing here. So we'll see what we have. Okay, I'm gonna leave it at that, and I'll let you guys make sure you get all of them, because it's just probably pretty monotonous to watch. So what do we have here? Tropical plants, okay. And then remember, when you're sizing, you're doing Command Shift, click and drag. Command Shift, click and drag. And at some point, going back and forth and placing them in, you're going to have all the correct ones in the correct spot. I'm trying to keep track of these and get the right ones, but I probably have to bring a few more in. There we go. So when you do this, of course, you guys are going to have all the correct ones there, sized correctly and pretty tidy. Everything looks good with the type. Again, don't worry about the typefaces you use. As long as they're decent, clean, these are nicer, these sans serifs. Georgia, this typeface, it's actually kind of, it's quite odd in its sizing. Where you have a 9-point Georgia, it's fairly large. I could even go down to an 8-point with this quite easily, and it'll still be very legible. So not too concerned about you having the exact same typefaces. That's not the point of this. As long as you have a clean design like what you're replicating, and you've got all the right elements and you've brought them in correctly, that's the concern here. Okay, so I just want to make sure that you've got everything in. And finally, once you do, I'm going to pretend I do, because the monotony of you guys having to watch me gather all these can be kind of unpleasant. You'll delete your reference images. So I'll delete this, and actually I'm going to go back for a moment and mention this here. So you can see mine keeps it keeps reverting back to this odd display, and it may just be my computer slowing down, but I have preset the document so it should show correctly. But this line under here, I'm not too concerned about that. If you want to type it and put it in, or if you don't, that's fine. I'm not overly concerned with that. Okay, and make sure you're saving as you go along, of course. So I'm just going to delete these reference images, and you don't need to delete the indicators at the top of your document, but you're going to be exporting this as a PDF for me. So you're going to go to File and Export. I'll just put this on the desktop, and PDF print. Make sure you put your name on it, of course. And in here, be sure to select View PDF after exporting. I'm going to post these for you as well. These settings are going to be posted in this week's folder. And you don't need hyperlinks in this one because you don't have any. So View PDF after exporting. Compression you can leave as is. Marks and bleeds. You're going to want to turn on your crop marks and use document bleed settings. So what this is going to show me is that you did your bleed, you did it correctly, and with the crop marks I'll see that you actually extended out to the bleed. And output, the best one to choose in this case is convert to destination. Now usually it doesn't matter, but because we're doing this fully digital from your computers to Blackboard to my computer, choosing convert to destination is usually going to protect any color anomalies from happening. And then don't worry about advanced security and summary. They'll be fine. And export.